Hi there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about 3D printers, about who they're for, what the kind of things you can do with a 3D printer, and about the range that it just covers, different people who would use it in different ways and what those uses would be. So if you're a parent who maybe has a kid who really wants to get into 3D printing, they've seen it online, they've seen it at craft show, or their friend has one, and you think it's really expensive. It's, a lot of trial and error. Maybe it's something you know nothing about and you would be able to help them. So you're worried about that. There's definitely models out there that are designed for that exact situation. They have 3D printers that are well under $200. They start about $100 and they come almost ready to use right out of the box. You take it out, you take the packaging off, you plug it in, and that's about all you need to do to get started. They are really simple. They come with print profiles typically already loaded on it, ready to go, depending on the model. And your kid can start printing right there and doing things. One of the standard models that just about any printer is going to have a profile for is going to be what they call a Benji. It's this little boat right here. And you print it off. And then you look at it and you kind of think, well, did that print well? Did it not print well? If you have any issues with this, you can go online and post pictures, and people will be able to tell you exactly what's wrong with it and start giving you troubleshooting ideas. A lot of times, the manufacturers of the printers themselves will do that because they want you to be successful. So if you as a parent know nothing and your kid has issues with it, there's a lot of help available now from manufacturers, support forums, groups out there for that. So it's not, oh, I don't know anything about this. I don't want to do this because I don't want to not be able to help them and have it just go terrible. That won't be the case. There's those resources out there for you to access and get that kind of help. And there's just a range of things that you can print on stuff like that. They have these little print in place articulated models like this one, a little T-Rex. And this prints all like this. There's no assembly required. It comes off like this. You take it off the plate and you're good to go. They have these little fidget spinners. This is a multicolored one that I did off mine. And these are really kind of a fun thing to do. You can print them in any color. There's tons of designs out there. They're all free online. There are paid ones, but there's a lot of people, thousands and thousands of these, that are out there for free. People just like to make them and, like seeing people enjoy their prints. So that's really cool. You can do, like this was a flat print. This came out. It was just the pieces printed on the plate and you take it apart and, assemble this. They design them for the smaller printers. There's normally a print profile for almost any of these designs that a kid might like that will fit on the smaller, the two common size print plates. So they can do, the same stuff that you're doing in a bigger printer without having to worry about, oh, this won't fit. I can only print certain things. A lot of prints that you can do on those smaller entry level models like that. And they're very accessible. They're everywhere now. So it's definitely something that you could get into with your kid and you give them that opportunity to see how things are made, to make something themselves. Even they're not doing the print profile, they're still printing it out. They're still the ones that are printing that. And that's an exciting thing for a kid. Anytime a kid gets to make something, that's always very cool. And this gives them the opportunity to make all sorts of different things and play around with that. So this could be a big starting point for them if they're interested in design and architecture, if they want to be in engineering or anything like that. This could lead to them having an interest in software. They might want to start doing their own 3D models and printing it out. So there's a lot of pathways that could open up to them, a lot of hobbies, interests, maybe even careers that come from having a 3D printer and using it. And, nowadays they are out there designed for that exact reason. They make these models for kids for that. So you as a parent can get them into that and start doing that. And it's not a big steep learning curve. So that's a really cool thing that's come about in recent years when it comes to 3D printing. Now, if you're a little bit older, let's say, you've got hobbies, interests, whatever it might be. I'm a big nerd myself, huge Nintendo fan. I like Pokemon, Minecraft, Legos. You can see in the background here. You might even be able to see my little Stay Puft Man from Ghostbusters there. I've got a bunch of Funkos over there up on my bookcases and Lego models. So, I've always had interest in that stuff from a young age. And 3D printing is really cool because there's a lot of different models out there. And people make them just to make them. They make them because they think it's cool too. They have those shared interests. There's times where if there's only a certain amount of people that would want a product, big corporations, big companies won't make it because that's not profitable to them. It's not profitable for the stores that sell them, and it's not profitable for people who make them. But with 3D printing, there's almost no overhead to make something besides the time somebody puts into it. So if there's people, even a couple hundred people who would maybe want to print a profile, somebody will make that just to make it because they think it's cool. They might make it for themselves and share it to other people who also think it's cool. And that leads to a lot of customized, unique products that you can get, whether it's, desk organizers, lamps, toys, models, figures. I have this really cool piranha plant that I've been working on recently. This is one of my bigger prints that I've been doing. And, it's a Nintendo Switch stand and docking point. So once this is all wired up, they sell the kits for this. You just, get the plugs in there and you can hook it up and plug it in the wall, plug it in the TV, and you can dock your Switch and use it off of this. So that's a really cool thing. That's a free print online right now that you can go and get. Somebody made it because they thought it was cool. They entered a contest and it's free out there for anybody who has a printer to print. So if you're interested in Nintendo and you're a big, Mario fan, you can go print this. If you're into Twilight, if you're into Lego, Pokemon, um, Harry Potter, there's all sorts of cool stuff out there that's just not available anywhere else. Models of the Hogwarts castles, they have several of those out there that are free to print, and you can finally have yours. You can paint that whatever color you want. And, even like the piranha plant here, you can change the colors on this. This is fully customizable color wise to where you could have your own custom colored piranha plant if you want one different than everybody else. So that's a really exciting thing when you're into something like that, a niche, that you can have it however you kind of want that to look. It's not always something you can do, even if you're really into something. So it's a cool thing to have that customized stuff. And 3D printing opens that avenue up for so many products, so many different things to do that with. Like I said, kind of your imagination, what you can think of is the limit of what's out there. That's the limit of what people are making, is what they can think of and what they can imagine. And it's just about everything out there. So, if you're big on maps, they have 3D printed, topography maps. They have them in Washington State. Those are really cool. I want to print one of those. But it's something that if you're somebody who has those hobbies, those interests, those passions, then a 3D printer is a really cool way to show that and get that stuff that you couldn't get any other way. Now, if you're, let's say you're a working professional, adult, you're thinking, so it's really just for kids and hobbyists and nerds. It's, what you're thinking 3D printing is for now. But that's not true. There's a huge range of things that can be printed and done with a 3D printer. And there's a lot of applications that go straight to professional work, commercial work, and design work. So if you have a 3D printer and you work in construction, you work in design or architecture, it could be that you work with clients who aren't good at visualizing something. You can take your CAD profiles, you can turn those into 3D print profiles and print those up into scale models of homes. And you're not sending this out, you're not asking interns to work on it for 2 weeks. You can have the machine do it for you. You get it set up, worst case scenario, maybe a couple hours, and you set it to print. You come back when it's done, you pick it up, and you go take that to the client. You can show them exactly what their house is going to look like. They're not looking at flat plans. They're not looking at these drawings. They're looking at a, real scale model, three-dimensional of what their house could look like. And that's a huge selling point. You're talking about multi-million-dollar projects. Being able to do that, the time it can save you, that's huge. That's a time saver. It's a money maker. And it's something that, would have been a much more labor intensive thing 20 or 30 years ago to be able to offer that, and not something that if you were a small couple person operation, you'd be able to do for every project. But a 3D printer enables you to do that. If you're somebody like me who works out in the field and you're going out there, working with your hands all the time. I work in glass industry and it's kind of a niche industry. There's not a lot of big, wide range of tools and things for the glass industry because it's kind of a niche industry. So it's not as profitable to be in there for the tool manufacturers, and the specialty stuff is expensive. So a lot of the things that I have and use on a daily basis have been made by me, customized by me, and a 3D printer really helps with that because there's things I can design, there's things I can find online that are exactly what I need that somebody else has made because they had the same problem, and I could print that out. So I have my little pocket bit case here that I printed out. This works for 2 or 3 inch bits, and it's super handy for that because I always keep, a handful of these in my pocket for the different common screws that come up throughout my day, and I'm switching between them all day long. With that, they're accessible, they're handy. I'm not digging around in a bag for them. It saves me a lot of time throughout the day, and that fits exactly in my pocket how I need it to. If I go to the store and try to buy something that does that, either it doesn't hold it well, doesn't fit in my pocket, just doesn't work as well as that does. It's not designed for that application. That's really amazing. Same thing for the other bit case that I printed out that I use all the time. This is a spare I have, but this is the 1 inch, the smaller bits, and I carry a huge variety of those because I come across in a regular week, it's not uncommon to come across 10 different kinds of screw heads. So this is fantastic. Keeps them all in one place. I keep this in my drill bag and it's super handy. If I throw it in there upside down, if it gets bounced around, tossed, twisted, and turned, they're still in place. This holds them securely. And again, it's better than anything else out there on the market. So there's a lot of application for making your own tools, having those customized things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to go to a store and buy. And especially with the new filaments that they've been coming out with, there's glass fibers, there's carbon fibers, versions of the ABS and PETGs filaments they're stronger than regular, and you think just, oh, that's just brittle plastic, but those are designed to be used in more industrial applications, higher abuse, situations where you need something to hold up, you need some more rigidity and strength. So they're thinking about that. These products are actually designed for those applications. If you're working on, engineering a new device, maybe a 3D printer is what you're going to use to do the base testing. You're going to print out your gears and your parts with a 3D printer because that's faster than having them engineered or milled out, and a lot cheaper too. And then you could find the failure points before you ramp that up and scale that up in the preliminary testing phases. And you could have, everything printed off of that for a small fraction of the price of what it would cost to have them, made out of titanium or aluminum, but you'd be able to find those same break points, those same failure points if you were an engineer, designing a new device of some kind. So there is a lot of practical applications for a 3D printer. And if you're looking at that, I'd recommend seriously considering that, getting into 3D printing and looking at what you could do with that beyond just, making a couple of toys and some neat things to put on the desk. All right. Thank you.